Well, hello everyone. I am Matt Williamson, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Wow, what a game. Not at all what I expected, to say the least. Now, I predicted a close Steelers victory, but I thought it was going to be a low-scoring slugfest, offenses struggling, two really good defenses. Not exactly how it went at all. Now, there's obviously some good. I mean, it's week one. You got to win on the road. And looks like you might have a quarterback. Yeah, that's a refreshing change, to say the least. But boy, the defense. I mean, yes, they made some big plays when it mattered most. And that has been a problem over the years. But down-to-down consistency, play at the line of scrimmage, ability to stop the run against a team that you knew was going to run, really troubling. And frankly, the short answer of how things went in this game was I thought the Steelers lost at both lines of scrimmage. And you put a lot of resources into those lines of scrimmage. And yes, so have the Jets. I mean, there's a lot of first-round picks and Quinn Williams and all that stuff. But that part is really disheartening. But you still won. Boz is a madman. And there you have it. This first initial podcast, usually I buzz through the halftime stats. I'm going to do that super quick, go through a bunch of final stats, and then tell you some more observations. Tomorrow we'll get real deep into more and more observations, second viewing, all those things. And just a couple notes I had at the half. And at this point, the Jets are up 19-17. I'm just saying, man, the defensive line is getting pushed around, and Cam Hayward in particular. D is just terrible. But Rodgers looked great at the line of scrimmage. It was really sharp throwing the football. Also thought the kickoff coverage was bad. We only saw one punt in the first half, period. And at this point, Rodgers is 11 of 14 for 159, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Fields, who played really well, by the way, 9 of 11 for 134, and 6 for 30 rushing as well. Breece Hall, he was much more effective, I thought, than his numbers. And at halftime, he had 9 for 49, 2 catches for 38. Wilson, too, they didn't have a great answer for that. I was a little shocked. 5 for 68 on 5 targets. Metcalf only had 2 catches, but for 54 yards, pretty much all of it after the catch. More on him later. At the half, they had thrown to 6 different Steelers. And on the first drive, they threw to 5. So they were really spreading the ball around, the Steelers, obviously. No sacks in the first half. Jets had 2. And I had to note that, man, they're getting a lot of pressure on Fields. They just can't get him on the ground. They only had 1 rushing first down in the first half, too, where the Jets had 6. But the Steelers were 3 out of 5 on third downs. Jets were 4 out of 7. Jets had run 32 plays compared to 26. But the Jets had produced 240 yards compared to 173. And they were averaging 7.5 yards per play, which is huge. But the Steelers were averaging 6.7, which is also quite large, too. Only had 22 rushing yards in the first half and only 9 by Jaylen Warren. And we'll get into some of the running back usage today and tomorrow as well. Jets ran for 106 yards in the first half alone. Time of possession, 17:46 for the Jets in the first half to 12:14 for the Steelers. And yards per rush attempt, Jets were at 5, Steelers were only at 2.2. Really brutal. Final stats were similar, and we'll buzz through those quick here too. Fields ends up 16 of 22 for 218, 12 for 48 rushing yards, as well as 2 touchdowns on the ground. Rodgers, both quarterbacks I thought played real well. Obviously 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 12 for 30 for 244. Average depth of target, though. The Steelers' average depth of target was only 5 yards downfield. The Jets was 9.2, so there's a big difference there. Hall had 19 for 107 on the ground and 2 catches for 38. Warren ended up heating up, and again, I think we're talking more running back usage tomorrow. But there was a stretch I thought he was really starting to find his rhythm, and then they moved away from him. Gainwell was out there a ton, and he was fine. But Warren only finishing for 11 for 37 and 2 catches for 22. I'm not sure it tells the whole story, but it's a little troubling nonetheless. Wilson got less and less effective. Garrett, 7 for 95 and a touchdown as the game went on. I think they did some good stuff there. Metcalf ended up with 4 for 83. Again, ton after the catch. But Austin, 4 for 70 and a touchdown. Well done. Attacking the other corners not named Sauce Gardner, obviously. McDonald, 2 sacks for the Jets, and sacks were obviously a problem here. 4 for the Jets, just 1 for the Steelers. And again, I thought they pressured Fields a lot, but just couldn't ever get him on the ground. And Broderick Jones was brutal in this game. The protection in general was not great. I didn't think blitz pickup was particularly good for the Steelers. Jets created 23 first downs compared to just 19 for the Steelers. Steelers only had created 2 first downs on the ground in this game compared to 13 for the Jets. Neither team was great or terrible on third downs. 4 of 10 for the Steelers, 7 of 14 for the Jets. And the Jets were 1 of 2 on fourth. The Jets only ran 8 more plays, 62 to 54, but they created a lot more yardage, 394 to 271. So they averaged 6.4 yards per play, which is a ton, against 5 for the Steelers, which is about where the Steelers were at last year. But you're allowing 6.4 yards per play. Brutal. Yards per drive. The Jets were just under 35. The Steelers were just under 24. Now, once they had a short field, you're not going to create a lot of yards on a drive that you have a short field. But still, you get the point here. Jets ran for 182 yards compared to 53 for the Steelers. Enough said, In the red zone, both teams were quite effective. Steelers were 3 for 3. Jets were 3 out of 4. Steelers did bat down 2 passes. They seem to do it every game. Cam Hayward got one of them, of course. Only 4 penalties for the Steelers for 26 yards. Jets had 7 for 74. Jets had the 1 turnover. Steelers didn't have any, which I think is absolutely crucial. Time of possession, it was real lopsided, obviously, at the half. Pretty much remained that way. 34-43 against 25-17. So, stats certainly favored the Jets. It wasn't like they had tons of turnovers or tons of penalties that killed them. There was just a lot of timeliness that didn't work in the Jets' favor. And Steelers made some plays when they really needed to. Football season is finally here. Time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Think the Steelers are ahead of the Super Bowl? Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials, so you can join in on all the action.
Hey guys, if you're planning to see a Steelers game, use the Game Time app to get your tickets. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone if you set it into your app alerts. The app is easy to use. No surprise fees at checkout. You can see your seat view before buying, and you're getting legit tickets delivered on time. If you're not much of a planner, you can get last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app and enter the code DK Steelers into your app profile to get $20 off your first purchase.
All right, let's start with Rodgers. Now, there was times I didn't think he was moving great or felt super comfortable in the pocket. But boy, you could tell he was in command pre-snap, and he did throw the football really well. And even just right from the start, for you guys that haven't seen him play, I hope you realized this offense and the overall quarterbackingness of it has just such a different feel than we've seen for 6 years, 5 years. I mean, something crazy like that. So that was really fun, really encouraging. We'll see if it picks up, but he was under a lot of pressure and still made a lot of big plays and often got them in the right play and all the things you would expect from a veteran. But it looks like the old guy still got something in the tank. The Metcalf after the catch stuff I thought was tremendous. Looked like he was shot out of a cannon at times. I thought that was great. And they ended up with 171 yards after the catch. 171. That's a ton. I thought Austin was very important, but no other really. I know Skoranek caught a touchdown, but all in all, it was just the Austin and Metcalf show, which I think says something about Ramon Wilson, by the way. We kind of touched on Warren, where I don't know what to think about the Warren performance. Like, Tomlin called out Gainwell, who's clearly way ahead of Johnson on the pecking order. Johnson got one carry and also fumbled a kickoff, and Gainwell got a ton of action in this game, at least as much as Warren. I don't love that. And in the press conference, like, the one guy Tomlin called out was Gainwell, and I know they love him. I've known that for a while, but I would like to see a higher percentage of Warren stuff. And that stretch in the second half when he was heating up, I didn't quite understand why they got away from him. I thought Jones was horrific in this game. I mean, he got beat for several sacks just when I was starting to think we're kind of out of the woods, that, that starting to play pretty consistently. Now they have good pass rushers, and Quinnen Williams was one of the guys that beat him, as was McDonald, but still, I mean, this was a really worrisome performance by Broderick Jones. And frankly, I didn't think the line played very well at either. Let's give Fields credit. I really thought he played great. Surprisingly, he only had 11 yards on scrambles. He had a lot more yardage running on design stuff. He had 10 designed runs, but on scramble yards, they kept him pretty bottled up, which obviously was part of the game plan. Pass plays don't let him get out and run, and they did a good job on that. But I thought this was the best I've seen Fields play maybe ever. Give the coaching staff credit, give him credit. He is an improving player. But as bad as this defense was, they made a lot of big plays down the stretch. I mean, they were at least a timely defense, despite getting really beat up at the line of scrimmage too. I mean, again, I thought they got pressure rushing Fields, had a tough time getting him on the ground. Tackling wasn't great overall, but they really lost at the line of scrimmage. I mean, especially the defense, but both sides of the ball. Protection for the Steelers, as well as opening running holes. Certainly the Steelers' run defense. I wouldn't say the Steelers lost the line of scrimmage defensively in the pass game, but I absolutely would in the run game. They got manhandled, and I have a feeling the All-22 is not going to be kind to them at all. A couple special teams note. How do you not call out Boswell for being just a total stud? Hits a 56-yarder like nothing, and then they trot him out for the game winner from 60. Nails it easily down the middle with tons to go. And Tomlin calls him our kicker's a serial killer, I think he said afterwards, at the press conference. And I was a little torn. I mean, you trot him out for a 60-yarder. They didn't hesitate. He nailed it. I mean, I have all the faith in the world in him, but that was asking a lot. As mentioned, I thought their kickoff return coverage was very questionable. Now, Boswell's last kickoff, I thought, was beautifully placed too, down at the 1. That was a nice little special teams nugget as well. A huge part about this game too, and I don't know that it's first-time head coach stuff, because I don't blame them for going for 2 after the penalty when it was really shortened. I think every coach would have. I mean, it's early in the game. Steelers take a penalty. You get a much shorter distance to go for 2. What might as well, I mean, I think most teams make that more often than not. But still, I mean, especially considering the final score, the Jets end up chasing that with the next time they went for 2, and they went for it twice on. It went for 2 on 2 separate occasions, and instead of getting 4 points or 2 points, end up a 0. Now, maybe that's just the short answer to the answer to why the game ended up being a victory for the Steelers and not the Jets. Very well could be. There's some injury news that Porter's hamstring got tight. I don't know any more news on that, but I'm kind of hoping that that's just cramping game one stuff. Haven't played a ton of snaps. I'm sure Porter was not in and out of the lineup much. Again, I've not seen snap counts and things of that nature. We'll see. Hopefully it's not any more serious than that. Harrison, he actually played a little bit of outside linebacker too with Herbig inactive. And that's something he's done at Ohio State. Did a little bit of it with the Ravens. It's not a specialty, but he can do it. He injured his knee. And then the one that worries me most, of course, is Elliott's knee situation. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, that we'll know more. Certainly by tomorrow afternoon, Monday afternoon, I think we'll know more. But that one scares me. Because Chuck Clark made plays, but I do not want him out there nearly as much as you want Elliott. I think you might have to get in the safety market if Elliott is unavailable. And it also could nullify, and I think it did kind of nullify as an in-game injury, the versatility of Ramsey. But I'll have to watch that more on the All 22. So that's pretty much all I got. I'm sure there'll be much more to unpeel tomorrow. Watch this thing again, dig deeper into some of the advanced stats, things of that nature. Pretty evenly fought game. I think there were 7 different lead changes in this game. There were, which is, hey, if you're not a Jets or Steelers fan, this was an extremely entertaining game just to watch, as entertaining as any in week 1. Back and forth, Rodgers versus Fields, the opposite team thing going, and older head coach versus first-time head coach, and there was a lot of storylines to enjoy. And TJ Watts, the color commentator, or JJ Watts, the color commentator, talking about his brother, which I got a kick out of as well. And the Steelers end up getting a W, which is, in the end, all that matters. But the line of scrimmage stuff to me is, oh no. Is it just Cam being rusty? Is it Jones just having a bad day? But it's not those two either. They lost the battle at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, with the possible exception of Steelers pass rush, which still only generated 1 sack. That's been one of my things, is got to get your yards per carry up. Sure didn't. Got to get your sack numbers up. Sure didn't. But at least they weren't blown out right off the bat. I wanted to start with that. Opening drive, touchdown. How about that? Okay. Then they ended up with a positive point differential after the first quarter. But opening drive, touchdown. Again, that you talk about things feeling different right off the bat. That sure felt different. All right, everyone. Thanks. Drop me a line. Over and out.